is money available from taxpayers' money. And this is like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like Kansas City alone, we get almost $650 million. Unlike the public sector, we don't know how much it is in the private side because it's private. And then that money is kind of broken down into 3 different divisions, but those divisions are managed by people that are super old, sorry guys, super like conservative, and they kind of blame people for even having mental illness, so the money doesn't get distributed the way it's supposed to.
What's up, good people? Welcome to another FiredUp KC episode. I am your host, Zik Nwanganga, and I got my co-host here with me.
Hey guys, it's Z, and I'm super excited about this show. I'm loving this space. It's giving modern, earthy kind of vibes, and I love coffee, so I think we got a good space.
Yeah, so I mean, this is, man, I'm excited for this space. This is brought to you by Kingship Cafe. My guy, TJ Roberts, he's doing the big in KC, so if you need coffee, you gotta come through right here at Kingship Cafe. But anyways, today, we have a special conversation and we have some special guests coming through. Today we're talking about mental health. So it's a time of season. It's
very important. I feel like it's a topic that isn't shared a lot but needs to be talked about.
Yeah, so, especially the year we had in 2020, 2021, 2022.
All the 2020 just
so
blurring.
We're about to get into all that. So for our first guest today, she is a therapist and she is famous on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm telling you, like, she hits it hard. So please help me make welcome Dr. Kristen in the building. Make welcome. Come through. How you doing? Welcome. I feel like we need a drum roll, like something.
I know, something
like makes good noise.
Yeah.
Welcome. How you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you?
Man, we're doing good. How's your day been?
Not bad. Yeah, it's getting pretty cold out though.
Yeah, it is getting cold out.
My gosh.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, yesterday was crazy. The snow yesterday was crazy.
Yeah. At least the sun's out. That's great.
Yeah. Totally.
But man, I'm excited to bring on our next guest. He's a cinematographer. He has a documentary. He is actually doing a documentary about mental health, which is a big deal in Kansas City.
Right.
So please help me make welcome the one and only Abraham Sisay today. How you doing, man? Welcome. The man with the golden hat. But welcome. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, I have my hat on today.
Yes, that's the best.
Kingship Coffee. Best coffee in Kansas City.
The best.
Just putting it out there.
Sweet, man. This coffee though, you guys cannot, you can't probably taste it because we're on video.
So
but
good.
it is really good.
God.
TJ, he whipped it up. So you know where to come to in KC if you want that good coffee. Kingship Cafe. I'm gonna keep saying it. But anyways, I'm gonna pass it on to Z to take us.
Let's just go ahead and dive into our conversation.
Yes.
What is mental health to you guys? What does that look like?
Ladies first.
Put me on the spot. To me, mental health is the relationship between your mind and your body. So basically, how does our mind communicate with our body, and how does our body let us know when something's right and when something's wrong, right? So for me, when I think of mental health, I think of how are we taking care of ourselves in a way that's going to help us not only reach our goals, but function. And that's all I got, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, that was a perfect answer.
I mean, for me, it's like my definition of why I'm even doing what I do is like it's like the planet like depends on it. Because I was in a really dark place like 6 years ago. Until when I tapped into therapy, and I used to have a stutter. Really bad. And going through that process just opened my entire like eye to so many things that I never saw. So to me, it's like the only way that we can save the planet is to invest into people's mental health. So that's how I see it.
Wow.
So to me, the planet depends on us working together and
exactly.
then, like ending the stigma. So that's what I
what about you?
I like that.
Sweet. I mean, mental health to me, I think it's really stems down to like, because I'm from Nigeria and mental health is not really talked about. Like, it's more like you never really talk about your emotions, especially being a man in Africa. Like they say push it down. So one day it busts out, you're like, okay, it's time to get angry. So. But I mean, so mental health is very, very important because I feel like it has hands in everything you do. It's like a root to everything. Like if you do not have your mental health intact, like it's gonna come out in the future, right? So I mean, for me, honestly, I think mental health is the foundation of everything. Like if you don't have your mind right, like how are you even gonna be able to function, right? So, man, what is mental health to you, Z?
To me, gosh, I'm kind of struggling. Mental health is a lot of things. I feel like it's the flow. Who you are, it builds your character. How you deal with things, how you cope with things. So it's definitely something that revolves around everything in life: relationships, business, personal, ourselves. So, and self-care, I feel like that's a part of mental health. Taking that time for yourself is super important. So yeah, what are some different signs for mental health, like good or bad? What are some different signs that you tell yourself like, starting to feel a certain way, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I try to look at like if I'm feeling off one day, like if for some reason I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, right? And I'm just kind of like, I kind of feel a little off. To me, that's an indication. That's like what we call a warning sign. A trigger, on the other hand, is something that you know for sure, it's overt. So just say, you and I have talked about this before too, of like triggers and what that means. So if you have a warning sign, it might be a little more covert, like, I feel a little weird. A trigger is like, oh wow, I'm having a response. Like my emotions, I feel like I can't get a handle on my emotions. So for me, that's a really big sign, is the triggers and the warning signs.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason why we have you both here, because I feel like you guys are experts in it, because you are a doctor and Ebrima has a whole documentary, so we're just here to learn, and I guess gonna learn a lot today. So, I mean, it's definitely an important conversation we need to have, right?
Yeah.
So Z, take us to our first conversation.
Our first conversation, business and stress. Like dealing with that from personal, your personal day-to-day life to business, like how to turn off the switch, when to turn off, when is it healthy to, have that separation between business and health. What that looks like.
Yeah, go for it.
Free for it.
Well, with me, I actually had like Bell palsy like a year ago due to stress, because back then, I would basically tell myself, you know what, I'm gonna sacrifice my whole health just to make sure that people know that mental health is like super important. So I was like staying up like 17-hour days sometimes on my computer, and I have a son and I have so much going on, but it's like I was working nonstop until one day I literally woke up and half of my face was just like paralyzed.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness,
Like, it was
Whoa.
so traumatizing.
Whoa.
So it's like, not a lot of people even know that, so I'm being a hypocrite because I'm not talking about that as much as I should.
Wow.
But yeah, so like I was extremely stressed, and just the fact that I kind of put everything on my shoulders, and I'm just like, I just found therapy. I used to have a stutter. I'm gonna make sure that people know that like there's hope, because I could have easily been the guy on the side of the street, because I was homeless for quite some time too. So I was like, people need to know about the therapy or Reiki or whatever works for you. It can be like a solution for your own health, and like help you find your way, and being able to just cope, because life is freaking life is hard. Okay?
Yes, it keeps going.
And it's hard, so it's like to me, when it comes to like the professional space, now I'm like making sure that I take at least one day off and do like Reiki. It's like the weirdest experience that I've ever had.
It's pretty legit though.
Like, oh my God, what is this? Why am I feel like I'm just shooting into space. And then now I like talk to a psychologist. And then, I like hang out with my 4-year-old, and it's like the most like awesome thing. Sometimes he drives me crazy, adds more stress. but it's like, things like that kind of helps me, be able to go all in into the business side and like have meetings. But then now, I know when to stop, and I can be like, okay, I need to take a break. Let me go, I'll talk to my Reiki expert. I did one today, and then before coming here, and it was amazing. Like, it was so weird, but it was like, what in the
There's
world
something
is
about
this?
it.
I need to get into that.
Have you done it before?
I've done it.
Not.
You got to try it.
No,
it's really interesting.
And I know the perfect person.
This is my first time hearing of the word Reiki.
Yeah.
When you say Reiki, I thought you were Reiki a lot. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what?
No, it's like a
Cool
spiritual.
hobby.
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it works, okay?
There's a huge mindfulness component though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I think the mindfulness component really helps you get in touch with the present moment, right?
Yeah.
And really trying to help like your mental health in that way. I've done it once before too, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And I know like with you, so like you have your own practice in terms of like work, life, and balance in that, because I know you literally, you are like a therapist. Like,
right.
For yourself, how does that work? Because you always people asking you for help.
Yeah.
How are you helping yourself?
Right. Oh gosh, I didn't think you guys were going to ask me this, but with business, I mean, you go from, we were just talking about this, you go from working 9 to 5 to 24/7, right? There's a real structure thing that you need to do. And for me personally, I have to structure at least 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. So self-care, like we were saying, but also allowing myself to go to my own therapy. I see my own therapist. I see Alex every Wednesday morning, right? So
Wow, okay. Therapist.
Yeah. I'm really open about my mental health struggles too, you know. So you really need structure. And I think really for me, it's if I know that I'm giving too much and my cup isn't being filled up, then that's how I know I have to take a step back. You know, especially working in your own practice, and just you could just work all day, and all night, right?
True.
So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think even speaking of what Ebrima said, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he was like, "Man, adulthood is a scam." Like he was like when I was a kid, the only reason I want to be an adult is so I can get like more of a piece of meat, a bigger piece of meat. That's what you want to get, like, because you want to get a bigger. He's like, nah, now I gotta work every day. I gotta pay all this bills. So like I feel like as an adult, you are expected to know all of it.
Yeah.
Like everyone expects you to know what you're doing. And you're like, I was 18 yesterday, and now I'm like 20.
Right.
And it's like it's a lot of pressure. And I know that everyone sitting here is like entrepreneurs, because we have our own thing that we do. And with what you just said, it's like you don't have any limits, because like no one is watching you.
There's
how
no
long
rules.
can you work.
Exactly.
There's no
Exactly.
rules. Yeah.
And I think another component that comes down to it is competition that you might not think is affecting you, but like once you see other people, like, man, this person's
It's the
doing
influence.
Exactly.
The influence
Yeah.
that, expectations are higher just because, people fake it for the gram and stuff like that, but it's just like, that's mental health, seeing all those influencers like, why am I not her?
Yeah.
Why am I not as successful as her? Different stuff like that just like triggers,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It just affects us, our day to day, how we feel, what we're doing, stuff like, it's just something super important now.
It's so true. There's so much research out there to support that social media could have a really bad impact or a good one, depending on like what you're looking at, like what your input is, And I think, like you said, I think for women especially, right? We could scroll and just be, oh my gosh, I want her life. I want to look like her. When she's probably right before she took that photo, she was probably crying her eyes out of the bathroom, right? We don't see that. Like we don't see that part.
Yeah.
Well, I want to add to that because as someone who does advertising, we actually did like research in this, and it's like mind blowing.
Right.
So that's like this research that we were doing. So we were trying to figure out how can we target people that are doing like enneagrams, like, and then actually present them products. Well, I ended up quitting that job because it was hella creepy. Like we can literally just like target someone who has like the numbers that are saying this is your personality, and we present them products, and these people are buying it like crazy. Wow. And then I was like, okay, oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah.
So much good information though.
I know, it's like so good. That tells you how powerful like Facebook is, and how much they influence literally everything we do now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why now I'm like slowly walking away from advertising. Right. I only work with people that are like doing the things that I'm doing when it comes to mental illness, like like saving the planet, things like that, because advertising is extremely powerful.
Exactly.
And at this stage today, everything that we do right now is being controlled by some capitalist pushback. I mean, I don't have anything against it. It's just that it's too far. Like, in my opinion. So don't cancel me, people.
They use so much psychology though, like you said, like even if like the Enneagram, right? So even if you think about like psychological tests, as a psychologist, we're trained in psychometric testing, right? So personality testing, figuring out like what makes people's minds go and all that. It's the same stuff, right? With advertising, like you're trying to figure out what makes people tick, and then a product shows up on your screen that you were just thinking about.
Like, oh my God, how did they know?
How did they know?
Like,
I didn't even say it was in my mind. And I'm like, wait, who's reading my mind?
You were like doing this in your phones, even though you were like thinking about it. And then like retargeting campaigns are always running.
Exactly.
So it's like the moment you like type those keywords, so whoever is bidding the most is just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm your best friend. I can help you. Guess what? Your Enneagram says that you are dealing with stress, and this coffee will help you
Right.
It's that creepy.
Yes.
So I need to walk away from it because I'm also part of the problem, because here I am saying like mental health is key, and I'm like, hey, buy this coffee.
Because we don't need
I mean, not this coffee, because this coffee is awesome.
This coffee is good.
good.
Yeah, we are caffeinated and ready to go.
I just want to let's talk about COVID. I feel like COVID has had a very strong impact on our mental health, how we're thinking, being alone. Like I feel like that's something that it's hard to deal with for a lot of people, you know, having that space, not being around people. Let's just talk about that and like what that looks like now.
Yeah, we've noticed that depression and anxiety, especially for young people, has increased drastically since COVID, and rightfully so. I mean, we're responding to a global pandemic. We're responding to a lot of different, you know, political movements, racial movements, all these things, right? So people are really in tune with those things, and your body responds, right? Of like, oh gosh, I don't really like this. And with the isolation component, that's actually could be a component of depression as well. You know, people who are isolating more often than not and having less social support. I mean, it's really, really depressing. So.
Well, I actually did like a mental health 101 with like some psychology students from UMKC, and I learned so much. And I'm like, I'm old.
Yeah, right.
Like, I didn't like you know, things like I'm cool.
Oh yeah.
You know, like no, I'm good. But they're literally telling their parents, like, hey, like I need help.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then me, I'm just like, what? Why did you just say that?
Yeah.
But then kids, you know, they're like, well, if we say that, you know, we're completely like disregarded. You know, our parents don't hear the things that we're saying, so we have to say, you know, I'm cool. But deep down, they're dealing with so much stress. Yeah. And then you know, not being able to go to school. And then like interact with their friends, and I'm just like, I didn't know that. I'm just like, sure, I'm like hella old then.
Think about being like 15 right now. Yeah. Like or something like that. Yeah, it's hard.
Like speaking on that, because I feel like I want to touch up on the 15 thing you just said. Because like when I was 15, my phone didn't even have a lot of internet on it. Like so, I wasn't exposed to the amount of pressure these kids are facing every day. There's TikTok. You see a 15-year-old on TikTok making millions of dollars. You're like, well, I don't even know what I'm going to do for my major. Like, you know, like I didn't have the only competition I had was 5 people who live in my street. And I'm like, I can beat you up right now. We can go, and that's it. You know, that steps a level. But like here, there are people in, you know, all over, like LA, who you're competing with. And I feel like that pressure, like as a kid, I don't even know. And that's why like, the suicide rate is like so high because like kids, you know, can't even get with it. And speaking of social media, I think we will all have a conversation about social media before this, before you arrive. But we're talking about, I don't know if you guys have watched the Netflix documentary about like
social dilemma.
The social dilemma.
Wow.
Yes, the social dilemma. I was trying to get them together, but like it's crazy. It's so crazy how, you know, talking of COVID, like 2020, like how the AI has become so smart that they show you what you want to see. And that's what happened in the pandemic. There were, you know, people on both sides, either Republican or Democrats, are fighting each other for nothing.
Yeah, and we had to switch over that technology, you know, being on Instagram every day, you know, that's other things, you know, being on social media more. I feel like that's another thing that, you know, can also cause that mental health or, you know, depression and stuff like that, just from seeing that influence. And being addicted to that influence too. I feel like that's crazy.
It's so true. And I mean, I just think about memory. We were talking about dopamine before and like the reward center of your brain, right? If you're watching and looking at like 7-second videos on TikTok all day long, I mean, you're just gonna take all of it in and be like, what do I do with all this, right? You might be anxious, you might be depressed or sad. You know, it really just depends, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the level of instant gratification has peaked.
Oh yeah.
It's peaked so much, like, and like even like for me, I tell people the only reason why I'm on social media is because I have a show and I have to post it, and that's the only reason. But you barely see me on there because I have a video game at home, so.
Just outing yourself, yeah.
Yeah, because if I didn't say it, my wife might just come because I play a lot of that. But you know. Which is not good. My therapy is my PlayStation 5, but it might not be good. But I'm always like, you know, because for me, social media is not something I'm used to because I didn't grow up around social media. I grew up around, you know, being with people, like talking with people, communicating. And I feel like with kids that didn't have that experience before, it's going to be hard for them to actually go outside.
Oh yeah,
it's uncomfortable.
Especially the work life, like, you know, being able to step out aside from that.
Right. I remember like just being outside until like the street lights came on and then I had to go inside at that point and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, kids don't have that experience.
I mean, I have a different perspective with like when it comes to community online or offline because you know that's what I do. You know, I like sit there and watch. But like, you know, there's like some positive side because, you know, I've seen like 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds change like the world, like enact like legislation just by playing video games, and they're communicating. They're like, you know, they see a problem and they're just on their phones, and the next thing they're like passing a bill. So that's amazing. So I think, you know, we should be able to pass like legislation around, you know, the companies, like be able to share data. Like for example, you can have your data be sent to you, and then it's up to you to like delete it or not.
Right.
Because that's the
Right.
only way that we can actually control it, and that's actually one of my goals. I've never actually said it out loud because I want to actually find a legislator who's gonna work with me, but I'm gonna put it out.
You do a lot of things, man. You do a lot of things. You have a lot of big vision. You're working on it. So
Almost fell.
no, do not fall, please.
I know, right?
Yeah, we don't want to have that as part of the show, but it will be a fun
It'll be funny.
click.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, it could be like, like an NFT someday. Like, you falling, and then you can sell that. Because, it's like, I want to pass like a legislation that actually controls the company. Because if we can give people their like data, then they can, it's like up to us to delete it or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, which, Apple is doing something like that, but I don't trust Apple. I feel like they're gonna, introduce their own like advertising platform, because now they're like controlling, they're like cutting on Facebook. I don't like Facebook either.
Yeah,
I have issues.
Yeah.
I
I feel like anyone who has like sense would have an issue with all these big corporations.
I know.
Because of the way they've been our privacy basically. Like
Yeah.
we are being sold.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a lot worse, especially being part of it, because I'm actually a Facebook partners.
So you're part of the problem now.
I know, but I'm like trying to like share and tell people, because even with me, I can go 3 months without like using Instagram or Facebook.
Wow.
But people don't know that because I use kind of like a tool where I share everything, and then I'm not actually
You're
on
not
the
actually
apps
on it. Okay.
because I hate being on the app and I do everything like incognito. I'm like an old man because I don't want to be targeted. I only look into mental health because I want to be the mental health police and actually police other like big companies. Because nowadays, there's companies like Cerebro, Done, all these companies that are coming out of the woodwork, and they're getting like $4 billion like valuation, and I'm just like, mental health, $4 billion,
Right.
capitalism, hey, what's happening? Chill. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like the police and be like, yo, I see you. If you mess up, I want to figure out how to pass a legislation and then control that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just weighing over my head, but I think it's possible. And
Yes.
I'm like attracting the right people that are trying to help.
Yeah.
And it's
pass
important.
it. Yeah.
It is.
It's important as well. Like,
So I may like run the office someday. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see it in you. Like, I can see that because, like, the way you are, solution driven to help other people, which is important because this age and time where mental health, like, we really need it, right?
Yeah.
So, like, Dr. Kristen, because I know that you are big on social media, and so like being a therapist and being able to help people on social media. Like, all your content is really about that. What impact have you seen that have on people, and what is that importance?
That's such a good question. So we know that there's a huge accessibility issue with mental health, right? Especially for younger people, especially for people of color, right? Especially for people who don't have the means to get mental health treatment, right? So when we think about pushing content out, my whole MO is, it's not therapy, of course, it's not a substitute for it, but if you could get more information, just kind of like what you're doing, more information about mental health, then you'll be more informed to make decisions that will help you, right? So on my platforms, I try to be as authentic as possible. I go to my own therapy, I have depression, all these things, but I want people to know that like it's okay to struggle and it's okay to look for this information out there. Being a content creator though, like we talked about with self-care, it's exhausting, right? It's so exhausting and you just need a break. I'm like, I need a mental health break, but I think it's really, really important. I got on social media by accident. So I'll tell you the story really quickly, 30-second story. So it was during the pandemic. I downloaded TikTok, time me. All right. It was during the
We're gonna count it.
It was during the pandemic, and I downloaded TikTok, and then I made one video about cognitive distortion. So the way that our brain kind of looks at information in like maybe a way that's unhelpful, right? Like black and white thinking or catastrophizing or something like that. The video blew up. And overnight, I had like 50,000 followers and a bunch of comments. I was like, I don't know how to manage this. Like, I don't know, but there was a need there. Like people wanted information. So I was like, okay, I don't really like this, but I'll do it anyway. So I kept posting videos and it kept working out. And here I am. But I saw the need and I was like, let me just keep going even if it's uncomfortable, so.
And I mean, your social media is a breath of fresh air. Like when I go there, I'm like, this is really good. Because I'm like, this is really good. Like the way you are so authentic. Like you go on there like you are yourself. And
I don't care.
You go as yourself. And I'm like, this is so like, it's what we need, right?
Yeah, I definitely feel like relationships too have a big impact on our mental health. Like friendships, support systems, our relationships with our partners. I feel like it's really important to understand, boundaries.
Exactly.
Understanding goals too. I feel like it's super important. But yeah, let's talk about that. What does that look for you guys?
Well, I do want to touch on the accessibility side.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna run for office. Everything goes back into like public service for me, because it's like I am, you know, I was fortunate to meet like a bunch of like congressmen, like a bunch of governors, and then one thing that I saw is like you know, when it comes to mental illness, there is money available from taxpayer money. And this is like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like Kansas City alone, we get almost $650 million on like the public sector. We don't know how much it is in the private side because it's private. And then that money is kind of broken down into 3 different divisions, but those divisions are managed by people that are super old, sorry guys, super like conservative, and you know, they kind of blame you know, people for even having mental illness, so the money doesn't get distributed the way it's supposed to. So at the end of the year, the money has to be spent because it's taxpayer money. So usually it goes into real estate, and guess what? Those real estate projects will go and gentrify the same communities that the money is like intended for. And I'm just like,
The cycle.
do you guys not see this?
Right.
Like just let the community know. Let's do like events. Let's make sure that licensing around like therapy and psychologists like universal, so that they can afford and be able to like talk wherever they go.
Yes.
So it's like these are the things that has to change for accessibility to like become a thing. So to me, it's like I'm like so like political but not political at the same time.
So I mean, like Z said, I think, you know, relationships like play a huge part in like your mental health. And for me, I know that like coming from like I was born in a polygamous family. It's like my dad had like more than one wife. There's a lot of things that happened back then that I still have pushed down somewhere, and one day it's gonna come out and be like, okay, in your face, you know. And I think that is not talked about enough, you know, because everything trickles up to something.
Exactly.
But for you guys, what do you guys think in terms of like people you have around you, or some things you've encountered in friendship that, you know, you've had to deal with or had to talk about, and how can people deal with that?
Yeah.
Well, with me, it's like the reason why I went to therapy in the first place is because I was dating a girl back then, my ex now. It's like, you know, she kind of noticed like all the signs, and she's like, hey, you have to go get help, or this is not gonna happen. And I'm just like, oh crap, I don't want this, because she's, you know, after I went to therapy, I like learned that she was the first person who like accepted me for who I am, like stutter on all my insecurities, but I don't really love her. I didn't really know what love was to me. I just loved the idea of being safe with her. And then eventually I ended up breaking up with her like in the most beautiful way possible. But now whenever I go into relationships, I make sure that there's like clear boundaries. I make sure that whoever I am with, that's why I'm single. Is that whoever
Put it out there, he's single, so he gets you know.
They have like receipts. Like, are you going to therapy?
Show me your therapist.
All the people going to therapists, show through, come through, send him your receipts, let him know.
No, like, I'm just playing. But it's like, you know, I have boundaries now. You know, I'm not just going to date because, you know, this person is beautiful and I'm lusting over her. You know, I have, you know, I'm mainly focusing like longevity.
Exactly.
And the things that I do, they're so like controversial.
Right.
So I don't want to just bring in someone who's not ready for that.
Exactly.
You know, I've made up my mind. If I stay single, cool. I just recently went through a breakup. I literally just saw photos. But anyway, but it's like, you know, I'm like trying to make sure that mentally, you know, I'm not influenced by a breakup, because I am learning to give someone their space, be whoever you are, and then I'll be who I am. Let's go do other things. When we come back, then we can have something to talk about, and not just, you know, sit on the couch and just watch TV. I mean, if you want to do that, cool. You know, it's just that my mind right now, I don't know what's happening. And usually whenever I'm hearing sort of a level conversation, I just check out, because I'm thinking, shit, people are dying. Like, we should pass this bill.
I think about that all the time. I'll be in like a regular conversation and I'm like, do you understand what's happening in the world right now? Like,
wait, are we talking about practice right now?
That's very true. I feel like relationships have had a very big impact on my life. You know, I have a really great support system, and doing that, I was able to, you know, be my own business owner and, you know, do things that people don't do to like their later in life and stuff like that. So I feel like my relationships, having that has like, you know, made me into who I am, you know, and endurance and those key factors when it comes to, you know, being able to perspire and do stuff like that. I feel like relationships are super important.
They're so important. Yeah, they've impacted my life too in like so many ways. Like just like going through a doctorate program, right? Like just kind of being on a grind and moving all the time and all that. I think relationships are really integral. And if we think about If we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that everybody knows about that,
Yes.
I think, right? So one of the basic needs is like shelter, food,
Right,
water, all that.
right,
But like
right.
the need to belong is a really strong need for people of like
True.
belonging and connecting, like you said, and having people with similar value systems,
Yeah.
right? It makes you feel alive when you
Yeah.
have those conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
setting those goals and those relationships,
Yeah.
all relationships, is really
Yeah.
important. Having understanding of what you all want.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I feel like relationship also goes back to maybe social media. When you say connect,
Yeah.
like on LinkedIn it says connect with this person. I'm like, am I really connected with them?
Yeah.
Am I really connected
Okay,
with
yeah,
them?
that's true.
Because I know I have them, but I don't really know them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to relationship, I feel like I want us to dig a little bit deeper because I feel like, for me, so you good. So I want us to dig a little bit deeper because 3, 2, 1. Okay. So I want us to dig a little bit deeper because I know, like for me, my wife personally, like I feel like anyone you're in a relationship with, they will call things out, and sometimes you become defensive.
I know, right?
And it happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me what to do, and I get angry, and she gets angry, and we're angry. I'm like, okay, let's not be angry. Let's talk about this. And it's a whole different thing because I've never lived with someone who I struggle with ever.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
those things are like things I'm like, man, I have to go apologize. I don't want to apologize. I have all this pride in me, but I have to apologize because I have to see her in the morning. I have to also eat. You know, I can't move out. You know, it's like this is your someone you're being like it's not
Yeah.
you can't run away.
Yeah, partnership.
It's a partner. You have to build it and let it grow. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some level of vulnerability in actually expressing and experiencing emotion with somebody that you love, right? And like you said, I'm thinking about me and my partner too. Like we'll argue and I'll be like, I'm pissed, and I'll be like, I'm pissed, and it's like, all right, there's anger. Let's kind of go deeper. Like what's under there? It's probably hurt. It's probably disappointment. It's probably shame, right? There's all these things that are underneath. But I think actually being able to be raw and real and like authentic, there's something in my mind spiritual about that, of like being able to connect on that level, especially with someone that you love.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like, you know,
really hard.
like opening up with people, it's really hard.
Yeah, I feel like communication has a big part in relationships too, you know, being able to, how do I talk to this person? How do I say that, you know? I feel like that's super important. I don't know. I kind of struggle with that, you know, opening up, you know, getting to know someone and setting those like boundaries and having those goals. I feel like it matters.
So, especially being like an African kid, like we like grew up like watching our parents, where you know the dad is like,
no emotions.
everything, God.
Yeah, and he's just there. He has to provide.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, you like watch your dad and you like pick up things like subconsciously that you don't even know.
True.
To me, that's what I struggled with when I initially, you know, this was before therapy. It sounds like a Bible verse. Before therapy.
Before therapy.
But
Before therapy.
but you know, it's like these were the things that I was like really like struggling with.
Yes.
I get offended the moment someone speaks back because as a kid I wasn't allowed to speak back. I had to listen the whole time. But then when I grew up, I felt like people have to listen to me. So like back then dating was so hard for me because I'm just like, no, you have to listen to me. Like I have all the ideas because you know this is you have to listen.
Yeah.
And then you know it wasn't like you know working as well,
Exactly.
and then you know my pride was getting bruised, and I never like apologized.
Yes.
And I was wild. Like my nickname was Zeus. I was a drummer.
Whoa.
Like I was
Plot twist.
Whoa.
yeah. So it's like pride was all over up there. Like, God level sometimes. God complex. But yeah, so it's like, you know, I never really like listen to anybody, but now it's like, you know, that's why I mentioned earlier, you know, I want to make sure that we have that respect for each other.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, be able to have peace for, you know, and like grace for us to listen to each other. Like now it's like so weird. I feel like being a dad also helped me because my son literally broke me. So now I have to like, you know, now I have like this sense of peace and I can listen to people.
Yes.
Because, you know, I had to figure out what a 2-year-old is trying to communicate.
Yeah,
exactly.
And, you know, maybe, you know, that's like some kind of like a unfair like advantage for me when it comes to dating now. I can like understand. And I'm not selling myself, guys. Telling my story, okay?
Definitely.
But yeah, like now it's a lot better.
We'll put this clip on
Put on a
before
Hinge
COVID,
profile. Yeah.
I was gonna do that now. Before therapy.
Yes.
COVID. But yeah, so that's kind of like an overview of saying that now I listen to people.
Yeah.
So what are some, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there's something like really uncomfortable, right, about acknowledging our weaknesses and the things that we have to work on. It's like, yikes. Yikes.
Yeah.
I don't even like it either, and I'm a psychologist. When I argue with my partner, I'm like, I'm the problem right now. I know it. I know it. And I gotta like swallow my pride in a way, right? But But really, it's all about what that is compassion. Like, I am angry, you're angry, but I have compassion for our reciprocal relationship, right? So it's hard.
I'm gonna out myself here. So,
all right.
In the past, right? In the past, I like to be like vulnerable and like honest about things, authentic. Like you can take it or leave it. You know? But in the past, in all my relationships, I used to think, I don't have a problem. It's them. They definitely are the problem. You know. And now looking back to that, I'm not having more the problem than I thought that I was, because back then, like back then I didn't have to take it from anyone. Like I'm like, I don't care. Like let's move on. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I didn't care. But now I'm like, wow, okay, I might not have. Cause I am bad at communication as well. Like I am awful at it. I didn't know that until now. And I'm really bad at it. You know. So now looking back, I feel like with relationships, it's like if you invest into like someone you love or relationship that you actually care about, you keep making notice like, okay, maybe there's some things that I need to actually adjust.
You have understanding.
And then that has happened to me where I'm like, yo, I might have been a problem why my relationship didn't work out because I didn't talk. Like I don't talk a lot. Like I've been talking here with you guys, but I am like an introvert, like a bad introvert. Like, but you know, I feel like with that, it's like for me, it comes down to what are you willing to sacrifice? Right? What are you willing to give up to grow?
It's like almost like a compromise in a way, right? Of like, when something happens, my rule of thumb is like 50% of this is what I'm contributing. Even if the other person is coming at me and they're angry, what about me? And this is hard. What about me is kind of contributing to this whole circumstance? Where's my accountability? And I think when we're able to kind of take accountability, even if it's a really bad situation, then we're able to see that person. Right? And it's really, I think that's what brings people together.
Definitely. So what are some different resources, for mental health, dealing with that, coping? What are some different resources you guys can kind of like tag or throw out there?
I'm gonna just like sell myself here. I have a bunch of resources, FiredUp KC.com. I'm like building the website, it's not ready, but it should be ready in a bit. But my goal is to be able to build a platform where you're actually going to be one of the people that are going to educate.
Let's go. Let's go.
Just to put
in partnerships.
But basically, it's going to be like a video-based platform where we're constantly educating people, like basic information about mental health. Because one thing that I noticed is that a lot of people go to therapy because someone forced them to. So my goal is to basically give people this space to actually, willingly get up and then learn about just the basic information about mental health. And then I want to create a portal where they can literally book like an appointment with a Dr. Casey and XYZ psychologist. And I don't know what that's going to look like eventually, because my goal is to disrupt the insurance space. So I don't even know what that looks like, but I have the idea right now, so I'll find the smart people to help me.
It's such an idea.
So that's one, and I know she has a lot.
So wait, before you start, I want to just a pun. I wanted to say just a pun. I saw this video on Instagram. The guy said, an idea would take you there. So that's what I wanted to say about the ideas.
I like that.
Cool.
Go ahead.
It's just an idea.
Yeah, it will take you there.
I have a quote on my wall that says, everything begins with an idea. And that's like, I think of you. I'm like, he has all these ideas.
Light bulb.
There it goes. I mean, in terms of resources, depending on what people want. So if people want mental health treatment, meaning like I want to go to therapy, that would be kind of looking for a psychologist. Honestly, how I tell people to do this is go on Instagram, go on social media, get to know the person to make sure that you vibe with them, right? So go that route. There's also medication, right? Which is primary care, physician, psychiatrist. I'm a psychologist, I don't prescribe. I do therapy and evaluation, right? If you're looking for coaching or there are some apps that are helpful. For example, there's like an app about that I'm the clinical advisor for Dawn Health for insomnia. So people are struggling with sleep. Sleep is like a big thing. It's like my thing. Sleep and anxiety, all that stuff. And then really just kind of talking with your friends. Social support, all of that. That's free. What's free is connection. So
speaking of I feel like in terms of friends and being on it's hard to be actually open with your friends. I'll just be honest. I feel like with friends, you have to get to a level where you have maybe one or two friends who you can actually be honest with, yo, I'm dealing with something right now. But it's the hardest thing to be able to confide in someone because you're like, are they going to judge me? Are they going to think, oh man, this guy was always coming to me with some trouble or something like that? And I mean, that's where true friends come about, where people who actually care about you, and you have to have those people around.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's super important to know what you're looking for in those relationships.
Yeah.
You know? Is this the right person for me? Is the right behavior? You know, what are their everyday like values? You know, what do they do? So I feel like that's important when connecting those relationships.
Yeah, and I mean, something that I do with my friends at least is they'll come to me with a problem and I'll be like, do you need to vent or do you need a solution?
Right.
What do you actually need so I know how to help?
Exactly.
And if I can't help, then like I'm gonna help you get someone else to help you, right? Because and I'll do the same thing. Like if I'm struggling with something, I'll be like, I need to vent. You don't have to say anything. Can you just listen to set a timer, 5 minutes? I just got to get it out, right? And then that's kind of how I try to operate. Because like you said, sometimes people will judge you, or you know, they'll always like say like, oh, you're always coming to me with something.
Yeah. I think that would make my life simpler. Do you want to vent or do you want a solution? Just tell me. If you do want to vent, I have. Let me see.
Then you
How
know
much time do I have?
Because then you know what you're consenting to.
Exactly.
Yeah, keyword like consent. Because to me, you know, I somehow became, you know, now become the guy that everyone come and like vent to because I'm constantly posting things about like toxic parents. One time I got like 70 DMs, and this was just random people just like telling me like, oh my god, like this is so exact to the T. And now, you know, I'm like trying to be very careful how I approach these people and how I talk to them. Like what you said, I'm you know, sometimes, you know, I'll literally ask them, yo, do you just want a friend to talk to, or
what do you need?
If you need like professional advice. But that's why in my post now I was saying, I'm not a professional. This is
so that way you know.
Like,
disclose that.
Because therapy and like talking to a friend are two completely different things.
I know,
like it's hard
very
sometimes.
risky, so try to be careful. But ask some questions.
I mean, sweet. I think we have come towards the end of the show. This has been
great.
fabulous. You guys did awesome. I'm
Can you
just
guys like tag your socials or where we can find you guys?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Kristen Casey on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So.
Yeah, if you search it, she'll pop up. She's famous. So.
I don't think I was meant to be famous.
Yeah, she's one of the best. Like, it's like, cause like when I say like your content is refreshing, I mean that 100%.
That means a lot coming from me. Thank you.
It's like coming from me, I don't know. Anyway, but I mean,
take a compliment.
I'll take it. I need that. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. That's another thing with me. I don't take compliments. I hardly take compliments. But it's like, you know, like when I watch it, I'm like, man, this is so cool. This is like so fun. Like it's funny and helpful.
Thank you so much.
Right? Which is, you know,
so funny.
yeah, because I like funny stuff.
Exactly.
Like the hotel thing that you were doing with the other psychologist.
Oh my gosh, that was fun. That was
just like
What's happening
so
here?
You need to go on Instagram. That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. Yeah, but Abraham.
I mean, basically, you can find me anywhere at Abraham Advocate or Advocates. I just started making it easier. And my project is Freedom Project, KC or Official Freedom Project. So do your homework and find us.
Yes. Awesome. And then Z, give us your plug as well, because you know you're
you guys
doing
can
awesome
definitely
things.
follow me at gorgeous.kcompany_ and visit my website at 𝐥𝐞𝐴.com.
Sweet. Don't follow me. I don't want people to follow me. Leave me alone. I like to be alone.
Bad
But if you think you want to follow me, you can follow me at Zik Nwanganga. I don't even know my username anymore. But anyways, it's whatever. It's
gonna be like in the
Wow.
Find me where I don't know. But hey, thank you guys for watching today's episode. It's been another FiredUp KC, and as I said, man, this is Kingship Cafe. We're right here. We're killing it.
Lovely
You know, we got a coffee. And cheers. Please.
Yes.
the community.
Don't leave me out. Please don't leave me out. But thank you guys for tuning in. You know what to do. All out social media at FiredUp KC on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's funny that we're talking about social media, but we're giving pause. Yeah. Anyways, but find us on YouTube. You know, I think that was another joke on that documentary. At the last one, they were like, "Please follow us on YouTube," and they were like, "Psych, we're just joking. We don't have any of that." But please follow us. We need that. And like, we need the gratification. Anyway, please like. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in today. It was fun. I'm just glad that you guys came through.
Yeah.
You guys have been great guests. And also thank you to Kingship Cafe for hosting us. This is fabulous. So
Fabulous.
come through in KC and have some good coffee. Thank you guys again. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye bye for now.